Howard, how old were you when you were drafted?
I guess I was about 20.
What was it like during that time?
Well, things was pretty tough. That was Depression time. Yeah, we didn't have much to go on.
The war would have been just started at that time.
Yeah, I don't know when it was. 39, wasn't it? I think the war started.
What was the environment like here in the United States? What were you hearing about? What were you reading about?
Well, I really didn't read about much of anything because we were too poor to take any kind of a newspaper. We never had a radio, no televisions at all at the time. So they wasn't, I don't know.
Talk to me about your basic training. What was that like?
Well, we mostly exercise, calisthenics, and they get us up of a morning, and we would, the first thing we'd do was exercises. Knee bends and one thing or another. You heard a lot of ohs and ouches and stuff. And we had our breakfast. After that, mostly we marched and trained, and they showed us how to use rifles and things like that.
You started out in basic training in Mississippi?
Yes.
Then where?
Camp McCain.
Then where did you go?
Went to Camp Pickett, Virginia.
And what was that training for?
Well, it's about the same thing, only they said it's more advanced. We crawled under live rifle fire there, machine gun fire. It was only just a little bit off the ground. You crawled under it. If you raised up, you got shot. Because when they fired across there was a hill beyond this, and it was loaded with pine trees, and there's so many shots there. A lot of them pine trees, the bullets would just shear them off. There's good-sized trees. That's where the bullets went in. Of course, that's a good place for them to go. They didn't fly off, anywhere, hit somebody or something.
What was it like being 20 years old and having gunfire and having to do all these things?
Well, it didn't bother me too much then because I never thought too much about it till I got overseas. And, of course, we didn't see any action in Africa. The Africa campaign was just over. What we done in Africa was trained in the desert, and it was hot. I can see why those people were black. They burned black over there. One that's not black has got to be dark brown, and they was. About the only thing we seen living was a camel. Always seen Arabs, one thing or another. And didn't any of us dare leave camp by one. If we did, we didn't come back. Some of them guys would kill you for your clothes or whatever you had on you. So we left camp, we left in groups after this happened to several of our guys.
What were some of your duties overseas?
Well, I was in an infantry division. That's rifleman.
What kind of training did you go through?
I was in the 45th Infantry Division. And we went out on the rifle range and we shot our rifles and zeroed them in, and we taught about taking them apart, cleaning them, and putting them back together. We took them apart so many times you could blindfold me and I could take the thing apart and put it back together. Couldn't even see the pieces. They trained us to do that.
And then from Africa, where did you go?
We invaded Sicily.
For people that don't know the history there, talk to me about that invasion.
About the invasion of Sicily?
Yes.
Well, I tell you, we was in North Africa. There's a handbook they give us. We left North Africa on a boat. We had no idea where we was going. And after we got out quite a little ways, they told us we was going to invade Sicily. Well, they had to give us, everyone that got one of those. I've had that ever since that time. And so that's where we went to invaded Sicily. I think it was I can't remember the date for sure, but I know we were all scared to death. Live rifle fire, And we got there about 4 o'clock in the morning. and the ships was blazing away at different targets on shore and away. Fires was ablaze, and you could see, I don't know whether the houses on fire or what it was, but anyway, that's what they were doing. The ships with those big guns was really clearing the beach for us. And so then when we landed, we climbed down the side of the ship on rope ladders. They were wide ladders. Several of us could go down at the same time. And the Mediterranean was awful rough that morning. Oh, the waves was coming way up, and you'd climb down and you almost get to the landing craft, and the wave would hit you and up you go. Several of them got their legs broke. Got it between the ship and the landing craft. We got in the landing craft, and after we got it loaded, while we headed for shore. And you've probably seen them on TV, where the landing craft is. That's where the end drops down, everybody runs out. You really run.
What was going through your mind at that time?
Oh, I was scared. We all was.
For people that can't see this book, it's got in here some useful words and phrases. It talks about the climate. It talks about the people. It even has some conversions in here. Did you find this useful at the time?
Well, we read it, and we got a lot of laughs out of it on the way over there. I don't know how come I had it this long, but I put it in the drawer at home, and that's what's been. So, yeah, well, there's a lot of words in there, Italian and English, but really, we didn't use too much of them. We didn't associate with them too much with them.
At that time, when you did land, you really just went off of basic instinct rather than what you had in here.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Looking back on your military career, what are some things that you've taken away from it? What are some things that you want people to know about that war?
Well, I don't know. It's not going to be pleasant. I hate to talk about it. I'm sorry. I had a lot of buddies killed. I don't know whether you ever interviewed or not, but you can say I'm a baby, I'm a crying.
I don't think that makes you a baby.
Well, I hope not.
I think a lot of people saw at that time some really brave people to be able to go into a situation and not know what you were going into.
Well, I don't know whether that's brave or not, but I was scared to death. So we went into Sicily then, and I tell you, we was pretty lucky. The Italians were in the war at that time too, with the Germans. But the Germans, there was no Germans up front. It was all Italians. And just the minute we got on shore, they give up. They threw their weapons down. I don't know how many 100 prisoners we had. But we thought, boy, we're lucky the war's going to be over. But the Germans had all them up there in front, and they was back. When we got back and found them, it's a different story. So that's when the fighting really started, as long as we was on that beach. Of course, we had several boys that got killed or wounded on account of landmines. But outside of that, I don't think anyone got shot in the landing.
How did you make it out of this situation?
Well, I don't know. I guess I was lucky to get out of it. By my training I had, and one thing and another.
What happened after you guys invaded Sicily?
Well, Sicily lasted 38 days. Sicily in the northern part was terribly mountainous. No vehicles could get through there. So they shipped a bunch of mules over there. And they carried ammunition and food and stuff to the soldiers on the front line on these mules. And Sicily just lasted 38 days. Then we invaded Italy. We went in there. I can't remember what the date was, but we went at Messina. That was down. That's just 2 miles across. from Sicily, Messina, Italy.
And you got out in 1945?
Yes, October 27th.
What was life like after you touched American soil again?
I was pretty happy, yeah, to be here. Yeah, we went in. We never had a furlough. All the time was gone. Not a fruit pay pass or anything. They was in a hurry for us to get over there. So that's why we didn't have no leave whatsoever. And I'll tell you, when I was in the 45th Infantry Division, and it was a lot of older guys in there, older than us. We were just kids. Several of us from Missouri, but most of them, a lot of American Indians were in there, and they were from Oklahoma, Arizona, and the Mexico National Guards. And they was rough fellas, I'll tell you that. I was about as scared as them as I was anybody else, because they was.